Welcome to Taking Stock. I'm Amanda Lang. Coming up on the show, an innovation in home building aimed at doing more with less. And how critical are critical minerals? We'll dig in. Plus, unlocking the value of thousands of entrepreneurs. That's all ahead. First, for the week that was in business, it's time for the briefs. Leaders of the G7 will meet in Alberta this weekend, along with other invited heads of state. Canada is host to the meeting, where issues of security, trade relationships, and digital regulation are all on the agenda. With U.S. President Trump in attendance, it's a sure thing that tariffs will also be on the table. Canada will ramp up its defence spending to 2% of GDP by the end of this year. An aggressive target, Prime Minister Carney says, will also be designed to benefit Canadians, with a greater share of spending done domestically. It comes as NATO is expected to up the quota to 3.5% of GDP. Canada's purchase of F-35 fighter jets will cost 50% more than expected, according to the Auditor General. In total, the 88 stealth fighters could cost $33 billion if Canada carries through on the plan for all of them. The Prime Minister has ordered a review of the purchase in light of the current relationship with the U.S. government. The World Bank became the latest body to slash its outlook for global growth, now seen at 2.3% this year as tariffs and general uncertainty weigh on most economies. The global body lowered its forecast for 70% of the globe's economies, including the U.S., China, and Europe. The U.S. and China did reach an agreement to stand down on some of the more contentious aspects of their trade fight. That includes the release of rare earth minerals by China and renewal of visas to Chinese students attending U.S. colleges. The two will work on a more complete agreement they hope to finalize by August. Current U.S. tariffs on Chinese products stand at 30%, while China has 10% levies in place on U.S. goods. The Competition Bureau is suing food delivery firm DoorDash in Canada for allegedly using drip pricing to mislead customers about the total cost of a transaction. DoorDash denied the charge and said it will defend itself. It's the second drip pricing case brought since new legislation empowered the Bureau, the first being Cineplex, which was fined $38.9 million. It is appealing that ruling. The number of Canadians traveling south of the border continues to fall. StatsCan said return trips by air were down 24% in May compared to a year ago, while return trips from overseas rose 9.8%. Trips to the U.S. by car fell even further, down 38% in May, the fifth month of declines. And those are your business briefs. The race to build new homes is always hobbled by how they're built, labor-intensive and one at a time. Now, Mattamy Homes is backing Stelumar Advanced Manufacturing. It will make prefab components for up to 3,000 housing units a year. Peter Haas is General Manager of Stelumar. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
So the idea here, of course, is to do things in a factory rather than one by one. What's your goal with this?
Our goal is to help solve the Canadian housing crisis. So building something in a factory and building a home in the factory or portions of a home in a factory allow us to build it significantly quicker with a higher quality product. So ultimately, consumers should have a better end product and at a lower cost.
And as I understand it, you will start by targeting a certain type of multi-unit dwelling condos. What's the thinking there rather than sort of the single-family home?
Yeah, our thinking is that it's really the missing middle right now. So we are looking at doing a 6-story building that's predominantly focused on families, so 2 and 3 bedroom units, and they'd be bigger than what is typically built today. Right now, if you look at most condos, they're smaller 1-unit buildings, and they're not very livable, they're not very usable. We're looking to do the opposite of that. We want people to live in units that they're proud to live in and want to be there for a long time.
Peter, doing prefab for housing in general seems like an obvious solution, and it's a kind of a missing component in improving the productivity of the sector. Why hasn't it been done before? Why isn't this something we're already doing?
Because it's hard. It takes significant investment. It takes having a land bank and actually being able to produce and having a customer who's willing to take what the factory can produce, because there's a lot of fixed costs associated with it. And that's ultimately the benefit of us partnering with Mattamy and having them as the lead investor and lead customer from it. So it gives us a real advantage in the market compared to others.
There is, of course, a capital-intensive piece to this, getting the manufacturing part of it up and rolling. Will that make it more expensive in the beginning and then with costs tapering off over time? How does that look as you look down the road?
Yeah, that's not the intention. The intention is that we're doing the investment. We know we're going to have to do that upfront investment. And then we don't plan on passing on the upfront costs. We're going to amortize them over time. But ultimately, as we kind of manufacture them for a longer period of time, we expect to become more efficient. So hopefully we'll be able to pass those costs on over time as well.
And can we assume, if this is a model that you get up and running and that it works, that you will go to other types of construction? I mean, what's the limit on what you could do in a prefab manufacturing way?
We're looking at everything. We're starting with the 6-story condo building. We're looking at low rise. We're looking at kind of attached product. Our intention is to take it as far as we can.
And in terms of ever getting to that single family home, Mattamy, obviously one of the biggest home builders in the country, if not the biggest. Is this a kind of a thinking they are likely to incorporate into their work?
100%. We're having those conversations now, and there's not necessarily volumetric modular, but you can do kind of pre-made walls and floors, and that's likely where we'll end up starting with them on that side.
So how soon until you actually have a building that we can say was made with prefab materials?
Factory is going to be up and running next year, so we'll be producing at some point next year, and then they'll be out in the world for people to visit soon after that.
And can you give us a sense, a ballpark of how the costs compare this to sort of a more traditional construction?
Yeah, so if you look at some of the numbers that the President or Prime Minister Carney has said, he said that 20% less cost, 50% more speed, and we think we can achieve those or more.
Peter, so good to have you with us. Appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Peter Haas is General Manager of Stelumar Manufacturing. Coming up, the feds have big plans for critical minerals in Canada. Getting there can also help meet our climate goals. Stay with us.